Traditionally, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder has been characterized by an inability to focus, finish tasks, or keep yourself still. Its poster child was the male classmate who was forever getting in trouble for talking too much and acting out. It had everything to do with that one kid in class who was labeled the bad kid. How, though, does today's ADHD research differ from that? And what is its possible effect on the full-grown professional woman? I'm Dana Hicks, a licensed clinical mental health counselor, and I have 4 updated ADHD research findings and 3 reasons why women should care. Finding number 1 is hyperactivity is not a requirement. So research now is finding that hyperactivity and inattention are what's called independent of each other. That means they could occur together, but they also could occur in absence of the other. Therefore, you don't have to be bouncing off the walls to qualify as having ADHD. Finding number 2 is an extra sensitive nervous system. So, those with ADHD come into this world naturally and biologically with nervous systems that are different than others, which means they are set on extra sensitive settings. And they are very aware of what is happening on the inside of them, such as their interests, their emotions, and their thoughts. But then also they're very aware of subtle changes in their environment, like changes in light, temperature, texture, and even social behaviors of others. This leaves them kind of in a quandary when they are trying to concentrate on what they are strongly being encouraged to concentrate on by others, because all these details get in the way of them actually following through with what they're being asked to do. The third finding is a weak stop sign. So we all have something called a cerebral cortex in the front of our brains, and it decides what is worthy of our time and energy to focus on within our environment and what is not worthy of our time and energy. And it shows a strong stop sign to whatever is not important so that it does not vie for our attention and energy, saving that time and energy for focusing on what is deemed important. So this part of the brain is either underdeveloped or lacking somehow in a person with ADHD. That's why they have a hard time staying organized and finding their way through a series of steps. And is the main culprit for racing thoughts when they're trying to go to sleep. Finding number 4 is the sting of rejection. Those with ADHD often have an extreme experience of shame, anxiety, or guilt at even the perception that they have disappointed or offended someone. This formally is called rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and it can often show up on the inside as a physical pain because the emotion is so intense. It can also monopolize all focus and attention for the rest of the day or until it is functionally addressed. This is the characteristic that people with ADHD rate as the most painful and dysfunctional of the whole disorder, even over trouble focusing. So why do women care about any of this? There are 3 reasons, and the first has to do with that nervous system thing. So think about typical women. What do they tend to come already into the world interested in? Relationships, right? So add that sensitivity from the ADHD on top of it, and they are likely to become meticulous at keeping the peace with authority figures and their peers. So much so that they follow all the rules and fly as low under the radar as possible, even at the expense of them knowing that they really don't understand the concepts that are being presented and they're not comfortable with the material. Reason 2 comes back to that weak stop sign and the possibility of not having the hyperactive symptoms. So the female who is overly eager to please and who may not have the interest or physical need for hyperactivity could present symptoms that are underneath the surface, such as daydreaming or getting completely frozen in overwhelm at how much she is not comprehending about the concepts. Reason 3 comes back to the rejection piece. Since females are more likely to have weak stop sign symptoms that are underneath the surface, their teachers are less likely to notice and appropriately address them. This, given the rejection sensitivity piece of ADHD, could translate to the female as a message that she is unseen and invalid, right when she is in the midst of sensing isolation and being very different from her same age peers. This creates fertile ground for a self-concept tape of insignificance and unworthiness to take root and become very, very strong and stay with her for a very long time. To wrap up, this new information on ADHD could be liberating and validating for those who already have the diagnosis, but seemingly insignificant for the scattered but average professional woman. However, the inferences in this video just might convince her that ADHD, rather than her core nature, could have been the culprit that robbed her of her sense of significance and value over the span of her whole life. Stay tuned on what discovering ADHD could mean for the female self-confidence and future success. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe below with no strings attached.